Are you experiencing sudden uncontrollable rage at the thought of President Trump? Have you cut off your family and friends due to their political affiliations? Does the sight of a red hat elevate your heart rate? You may be suffering from what the internet refers to as Trump derangement syndrome, or TDS, defined as a term used to describe extreme negative reactions to President Trump, where emotions, judgments, and behaviors become so intensely consumed by him that they're perceived as irrational or unhinged. My next guest has self-diagnosed himself with TDS. He's also a veteran political consultant, co-host of the Politics War Room podcast, and the man behind President Clinton's 1992 campaign victory. The Raging Cajun is James Carville. Okay, we began the conversation before the break. Go ahead, say what you wanted to say.
Okay, thank you, and thanks for giving me the opportunity to say it. I have Trump derangement syndrome, and I'm trying to get worse. I asked my doctor, is there a pill I can get more Trump derangement syndrome? He said, medicine can't deal with that, James. And I think I have it. I don't know Bruce Springsteen, I think he does too, because we think if he's not a traitor, he would do exactly what a traitor would do, and that to try to be objective about it is the equivalent of being a collaborationist. That is our view. That is my view. That is my view. This is a very perilous time in the history of the United States. It is extremely perilous for people who love the United States and love its laws and love what it is. And like I said, whether he is a traitor, I can't really say that, but he would be doing exactly what a traitor would do if they ever got into the presidency. And there should be no quarter in dealing with him.
I don't know if you heard the opening commentary. I hope that you did, but I said that Democrats have a blind eye. They're turning a blind eye to their own failings. And I look at Plattner with his Nazi tattoo for nearly 20 years as Exhibit A. I look at the failure to call out Joe Biden's obvious failing condition during the early stages of the 2024 cycle as another example of that. In other words, when the intensity and desire is only to beat Donald Trump, it's not in the party's best interest because they lose their judgment. You would say what to that?
Well, I would say, first of all, action for a long, long time. I even came on your show and expressed my skepticism and criticism. So I'm not, that is one thing. You know, if you think and you believe that it is a perilous situation, you know, I think when you look at the totality, now, Graham Plattner, you're right. If one thing about a tattoo, if you did something stupid 20 years ago, it's still with you. It doesn't go anywhere. I think I'll never get a tattoo because I always change my mind about things. But I think what you asked me is he said some things that are highly controversial? Yes. But what is the most important thing to do in America? And that is to oppose Trump as vigorously as possible at every level. And the most important tool we have at our disposal is to win elections. Understand, we think the United States, therefore, I don't know what supersedes that. I just don't. And I can't think of anything. And I have and I understand what Bruce Springsteen is doing. I understand what these other people are doing. They need to do more of it.
Okay, to me, respectfully, it's the same mindset that explains people who breached the Capitol on January 6th. I mean, they were similarly warped in their thinking that it's all on the line, and therefore no behavior is out of bounds, and I'm going to break into the Capitol and I'm going to stop the counting of the ballots.
I completely disagree with the premise. Voting for Graham Plattner is not a felony. Breaking into the Capitol is a felony. And when you want to defend the objectivity so much that you're comparing people voting for a flawed person and assaulting police officers, of which if you call them balls of strike, I'm going to call this way outside the strike zone.
But no, James, I think you're misunderstanding me. It was actually more directed at you. I was really saying if your objective is to fight Donald Trump and accept anybody who's on your team in doing so because the stakes are so high, that's what reminds me of a January 6th mindset. Respond to that.
Well, I might have Trump derangement syndrome, but I am not a criminal. Okay, I'll agree with that. And I think my preference is Democrats at every point nominate the most electable person. Richard Thaler, who's the most influential economist of the 21st century, maybe ever, was asked, he's a great behavioral economist, he said, what should the Democrats do? And he said, they should nominate people who are electable. Sometimes I don't always get my way, all right? But it's coming up pretty good this year, and I think you're going to have a good year. But I can't apologize for that which I profoundly and deeply believe, that we are being led by a person who, if not a traitor himself, is doing exactly everything that a traitor would do if they got in that job.